The Other Side of Hope is one of the most funniest films of the year. Hello everyone, welcome to the Bucket List Reviews. My name is Gibran and this is the review of The Other Side of Hope, a new deadpan comedy from the Finnish master filmmaker Aki Kaurismäki. The film takes place in Helsinki, a city of hope for many incoming refugees fleeing from the horrors of the Syrian war. Khalid, played by Sherwan Haji, illegally enters Finland in order to search for his sister and build a new and better life in Europe. Along the way, he encounters Wikström, a small-time businessman who is unhappy with his past life, decides to open up a restaurant, and from there on, the clashes of cultures and the concept of happiness is redefined. With the film Le Havre a few years earlier, many suspect this film to be Kaurismäki's Harbour trilogy, a modern-day perception about the ongoing refugee crisis and polarizing opinions of people in the West. The Other Side of Hope is a textbook Kaurismäki film. The smoky cigarette-induced atmosphere, the cheap vodka all around, and naturally, the bleak and emotionless nature of the Finnish people. Now, Kaurismäki has been making films since almost 30 years now, and it's really interesting to note that his brand of comedy has not evolved much. It seems to me that the filmmaker has known right from his early years that for him, comedy lies in the darkest depths of human misery and mundane everyday life. And luckily for us, he's always been a pro at that. Ever since I watched The Man Without a Past back in 2002, I've always been a fan of his work. Kaurismäki's particular brand of comedy always revolves around the bleak and humorous atmosphere of the Finnish people, and in turn, that is actually quite funny. So with that in mind, you're either a fan of Kaurismäki's work or you hate it, and The Other Side of Hope will have the audience exactly as much polarized in their opinions. Personally, I think one of the main reasons why Kaurismäki films are such a treat to watch is just the fact they're so damn gorgeous. When it comes to comedy films, a lot of filmmakers ignore the art behind the cinema and focus more on set pieces and punchlines. By his characters being silent for most of the film, it allows Kaurismäki the freedom to use silence as a means of creating utterly gorgeous scenarios and atmospheres. Sometimes reminds me of Caravaggio's Baroque style of lighting. I think this argument goes way back to the early silent era, where the lack of sound actually focused the filmmakers to focus on the visual aspect of it. Many would perhaps argue that sound somehow made the craft behind comedies lazier, a thought that filmmakers like Chaplin and Keaton were afraid of. It's really difficult to critique individual aspects of a Kaurismäki film, since he certainly is an auteur when it comes to filmmaking. His brand of humor affects every aspect of his work, from the characters to the art direction and even the song sequences in between. And when it comes to political stance, it's quite obvious where Kaurismäki stands. The film unapologetically reaches incredibly dark places, from implied rape to lighting a man on fire. Damn! Although The Other Side of Hope is a great deadpan study of the ongoing refugee crisis, I personally feel it doesn't reach its full potential of Kaurismäki's talent. Come to think of it, it's nowhere near as memorable as The Man Without a Past or Drifting Clouds. And there's this one scene in the film, the sushi restaurant sequence, where I felt Kaurismäki reached a little too strong for laughs, and it unfortunately sticks out like a sore thumb from the rest of the film. And there is one big flaw in Kaurismäki's representation of the Arabic people. The Arabs are never ever deadpan when they are conversing to one another. They talk loud, lively and friendly, and although I understand Kaurismäki wanted to implement his brand of humor into other cultures as well, but as someone who has lived in the Middle East and grew up in South Asia, I just couldn't shake this feeling off that something was definitely wrong here. Maybe it's funny because it's not true? I don't know. You can be the judge of that. And by the way, with films like Drifting Clouds from the 90s and now this film, I'm actually convinced if Kaurismäki was a filmmaker, he would have definitely opened a restaurant of his own, full of cheap vodka, smoky atmosphere, deadpan country singer-songwriters. Actually, that would be a pretty awesome idea. So Mr. Kaurismäki, hope you're taking some notes. I think The Other Side of Hope is a film that I can admire for its unapologetic stance for humanity, but at the same time, it's not one of Kaurismäki's other brilliant works. But in any case, The Other Side of Hope gets a 3.5 stars out of 5. It's definitely an admirable film, and if you haven't seen a Kaurismäki film before, I would say give it a shot. And if you enjoy deadpan comedy, you will enjoy this film as well. So, that was a review of The Other Side of Hope. Do you think comedy on the ongoing refugee crisis is the right way to go? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, like if you like this video, subscribe if you want to hear me talk more about the cinema. And this is Gibran bringing you the films that you have to watch before you kick the bucket.